Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Just Let Me Touch the Trees. I'm Sarah. Thank you guys for being here again. Um, this episode is one that I thought about actually at the very beginning when I thought about doing this series of videos, this podcast, and in the end, the initial time wasn't the right time to do the video. And so now feels like a really aligned moment in order to talk about this idea of timing, what that means for our lives, how it manifests in our lives, the frustrations that come along with it, and trusting the process. And I feel like sometimes we feel like we hear that phrase or that word a lot, trust the process. And like it can be so incredibly exhausting, right? Even if you know that that's absolutely 100% true. Like I'm definitely one of those people that, you know, it's very much something that I believe in, especially in the last few years of my life. Really leaning into trusting the process and understanding that things that we get or don't get are not um not happening in a way to hurt us, right? Like they're not happening to us, they're happening for us. And even when we can know some of those things, right? And we know that that's absolutely 100% true, it's still, it's still really hard. It's not something that comes super easy. Um and especially there are some days that are harder than others. I, for example, this week I had some really hard mental health days. And I don't really believe in toxic positivity. I don't think that we're supposed to be okay all the time, happy all the time. Um, I've talked about this before that there's two sides to the coin always, and that's because we always need to come back to balance in order to appreciate the really beautiful things in life. We have to experience some things that are not so nice, right? um, I think sometimes the frustration that happens is that when we've been doing the work, we've been really learning and growing and trying to understand ourselves better, addressing the shadow parts of ourselves, and really when we're fit and we come faced with some of the same situations and we start to make different decisions, and then um, it still isn't in the timing that we think is it's supposed to be, right? Divine timing is a concept that you can either choose to lean into, or you can say it's woo woo and way far away from how you believe in the world, and that's okay. But when I look back on and reflect on the parts of my life that didn't go the way I planned, or it felt like everything was falling apart, in all cases, they were just redirecting me, or they fell apart in order for the right pieces to fall into place. But that still doesn't necessarily mean that it is easier when we've been moving and acting and choosing in different ways, and then some of the outcomes that we have still aren't what we had hoped for, what we wanted. In my life specifically, there have been some things personally, as I've been trying to really stabilize my life here, build my life here, in the Amalfi Coast. And, I have been looking for a new apartment, and housing here is a really, really hard thing to come by. It's actually part of my research. So I'm living my research. And I had a conversation the other day with a friend, and she was dealing with some similar things in a different facet, different area of her life. But it was still talking about, we still came back to this concept of timing, and how we push and we push and on these on it's like feeling like you've reached a wall and you keep pushing and you can't go any further, but because that's the way you think you want to go, and when the response is not exactly what we thought it was, um, it's hard when that pushback arrives back at you, right? When you hit that wall and you really are met with this moment to think about, do I do I keep going? What do I need to do in this instance? How do I regroup? What is the issue? Is what am I supposed to learn from this? Because sometimes it really doesn't feel like there's the lesson is not extremely clear. Or you're given options. You're given options that don't necessarily feel aligned, even though they seem like what you've asked for. Um, and therein lies, that's when it's discernment, right? And that's part of, I think, trusting the process and the timing of your life, is that we are given the same lessons over and over until we choose differently. Or if we choose differently, based on options that we're given. And if those options don't feel aligned with where we would like to go, what we want to do, we have to make some very choices that feel very scary, right? They're not necessarily scary, and like, this is the moment when you have to remember that the universe is working for you, not against you. Um, and I have had to say no to some things that um, seemed like what I wanted, except that, there was just something that wasn't quite. One of those things specifically was in an apartment here in the peninsula that I did find. But for me, the timing of when they wanted somebody to move in didn't really align with the things that I really had fundamentally needed for me to for my life, for other things that I've been working on closing and stabilizing. It wasn't the right moment. And I, knowing how scarce and how hard it is to find a place here, I had to decide what I wanted to do, and in the end, I decided to say no. And I still don't know how that's going to play out, but it felt actually like after I made the decision, my entire nervous system kind of like took like a big sigh. And so, like, I know it was the right decision, even if I don't have any idea what is going to become available in the time frame that works for my life and when I need it, and what's going to happen. And not knowing what's going to happen is one of the really scary parts, um, of following this um, intention of decisions for your life that are in alignment with like your highest self, right? Your best version. And that applies to just about anything. Um, when I mentioned that, like, I've had some couple of really difficult mental health days. It's for the sake of being completely honest with you, because I really try to be uplifting and encouraging when I'm making content, and really embracing the idea of daily joy, because I try to live my life that way. Truly, truly try to live my life that way. Um, Even I have, weak moments and difficult days. I'm not always sure of myself. In my personal life, I have wanted specific things for a very long time that have not come to fruition, um, or they've not worked out the way they thought they were going to work out. And this week, especially, I wanted to just like scream as loud as I possibly fucking could, um, in frustration, because I have been really, really working really hard on these areas of my life, to make sure that I am learning, I am growing, I am manifesting different things than the things that have happened to me in the past. And for that to feel like, even though I've done something different and I've made different choices, and to kind of have the same outcome is, oh, it's a really hard pill to swallow, it's not at all an easy thing. And I was faced this week with really thinking about, um, what what I wanted to continue to do, if I could continue to lean into this idea of trusting the timing of my life. And when I have these really difficult days, I don't always operate in the best version of myself. I was really triggered this week. So my nervous system was like really high, extremely unbalanced, and I was feeling a lot of things from previous past versions of myself, and feeling like I'm in this broken loop, stuck in this broken loop of things, and I'm quite frankly, I'm tired of it. But um, in my meditations and my reflections, it's highlighted that okay, there are things that I still need to, you know, pay attention to, things that trigger my nervous system in a way that is detrimental to my own mental health, but also allows me to kind of see where I still need to give some love to myself, because and our past traumas are our responsibility to heal. Um, and it's important that we don't close ourselves off to meeting and building new relationships with people or trying new things, because healing only comes when we do put ourselves in situations that test the work we've been doing on our nervous systems. If you say you're healing and you just kind of go into hibernation, that's avoidant coping. That's not really actual healing, right? The idea is to not close yourself off. It's to stay open. And that's been a really big challenge for me lately. And I've cried a lot. And wondering about how many more times that I have to experience this, how many more times I have to do this, what else do I have to do? Even the question, what's wrong with me? What's my problem? Is it me? And I'm not trying to beat up on myself or have pity or anything like that. It's just trying to be really real, that I think a lot of us deal with these things too, especially when it comes to personal connections with people, um, or even in your career, right? If you feel like you keep getting the same responses over and over, no matter what it is you do, you wonder, what is it? Is it me? Is it something that's not go like something within me that's not wanted? And because we all want to feel wanted, right? We all want to be accepted and connect with people. That's our fundamental need and want as humans, right? As connection. And whatever that is, it's the work that we do, connecting with the people that we work with, the projects that we work on in our personal life, friendships, romantic relationships. Connection is the key to our humanity and a full, vibrant, joyful life. But if we close ourselves off because it doesn't seem to be working, no matter what it is that we do, we're never going to get there. And I feel like this is also like an urge from the universe at this point, that we're you're close, right? It's close. Keep going. Um, I think too that we have a tendency to get really frustrated um, when these things happen, or these delays, or what feels like delays, and it really is leaning into, if this one thing doesn't work out, whatever that may be, it's knowing that if we let it go, because it comes back to letting go, and I've talked about this in other episodes too, is that when we let go of things, and or people or places, when we let those go, we make space for the things that are really aligned with who we truly are, the best version of ourselves, right? And it's not discounting ourselves or um, even the experiences that you had, because they were beautiful in one way or another, right? Learning experience, good memories, whatever that is. Um, it's important to sit with those feelings. I did that a lot this week. I sat with my feelings, and tried not to live there, right? It's okay to sit with them and process them, but you can't live there. Um, and now, as always, I like to leave you guys with some kind of useful practice. Um, what I have been doing is, in my daily practice has been more on meditation focused on where I'm hurting. So what are the emotions that I need to feel, and physical movement. Even if you don't have access to a gym or anything like that, one thing that helped me a lot yesterday is that I went and did Pilates because I've been doing. I started that about a month ago, and those movements and the breathing that's associated with the controlled muscle movements of these exercises moved around a lot of the energy that I was feeling, and then I just I just kind of sobbed afterwards because there was nowhere else for all of that emotion to go. Um, so even small movements like that, or stretching or yoga, are really useful tools for um, just keeping whatever it is that you're feeling frustrated with from staying in your body. Um, Other than that, it's also just been, I've had a lot of support from my group of people that I really truly trust with um, carrying some of that weight. And that took a long time for me to really, I'm not really very good at asking for help. And I imagine some of you are not that great either. But it's important to be able to humble ourselves in order to be like, I'm not okay, and I need to talk about this, because we're never alone completely, um, and that's another way to just kind of get it out, let it leave your body. Don't let it live there, and that has been helpful for me to kind of circle back to myself, recenter, and be okay with the idea of starting from scratch again in any part of my life, whether that's finding my house or building personal relationships, or building my career, my work, my projects that I work on. In the last in the last 4 months, I've had challenges in all of those. All of those. It's like as soon as I told the universe, okay, I'm ready to hold everything. I have the capacity to hold everything that it's meant for me. Bring it on. It was like the universe was like, okay, here you go. And now that I've even talked about this in this way in this episode, it's clear to me that uh, I I will be able to continue to do things differently, and I do trust the process of my life, and it's a beautiful work of art, just as yours is. And the important thing is we never lose that. We keep going even when we feel like there's no way that there's enough time for it to work out. There's always time. Everything that you desire, like deep in your heart, that deep soul desire, is already made for you. We just have to really lean in and trust that it's going to arrive at the exact moment it is supposed to, in the best way possible. Um, and I say that as we get close to the Christmas holidays, and we're going to be with family and friends and closing up the year, the calendar year. And I hope that, also with this new moon today, that today and tomorrow, that you can take this and really, really leave what's not for you, what doesn't really feel for you, or what like feels like you're trying to make fit that isn't necessarily the case. Um, let that all go. Trust that the wishes that you put out there, your desires that you have given to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, they will come to fruition at exactly the right moment. Um, and there's nothing wrong with you. You are enough just as you are. And I think I'll leave it at that. If you want, subscribe. My socials are in the captions. And thank you for being here as always. It's a joy to share these moments with you, and I hope that they help. Okay, love you guys.